What's up, guys? This is Ty Zen, and I'm broadcasting from Dallas, Texas. And in the passenger seat with me, I got the Honorable Grandmaster, LeonFood.com. So we've been busy, guys, with a lot of stuff, but we want to take out this moment before the end of 2016 and kind of do a summary and a wrap up and a recap of what's happened so far in 2016. And more importantly, Leon and I want to share with you guys the lessons that we learned, the mistakes that we made, and the successes that we've had, so that you guys can learn from it and benefit from it. We're all here to create some life-changing finances together, and so we want to share it with you. So it's just going to be random, guys. It's going to be off the top of our head. It is not rehearsed or anything, so it's going to be all over the place, okay? So first thing that we want to talk about is you wanted to talk about the successes?
Yeah, well, I think we should start off
with the mistakes that we made.
No, just an overview of what happened, or
okay.
What like I said, like Ty said, this is not rehearsed.
Yeah,
we're just talking casually, as we would if
these are the conversations that Leon and I normally have on the phone in private, guys, and so we just want to share this with you. Okay, so.
Well, let's start with what happened in 2016. All right.
Okay. So.
And I think the first significant thing that happened was, if you remember, I believe Ethereum exploded at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, around March, around spring.
Actually, yeah, I think going into, I don't have charts in front of me right now, but Ethereum started trading I think in the summer of 2015, correct? And
yeah.
It spent most of its time, I think it came out at the ICO price was around 30 cents. We came out between 80, the second half of 2015, 80 cents to $1.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of 2016, that's when it
exploded.
Took off. It exploded. Right?
Yeah, and let's talk about the catalyst that caused the explosion of the launch for Ethereum.
I believe it was R3. I believe that was the news, that was the catalyst, because the R3 came out of nowhere, right? Like no one had heard about R3 until I don't remember exactly when, but it was a consortium of most of the big banks, right?
Yeah.
And they decided to start prototyping applications on Ethereum.
Yeah, they were going to use, they chose the Ethereum blockchain to do their interbank network.
Yeah. They were just doing prototypes of kind of ideas. And
there was like 20 banks that agreed to work on this project together, where they create their own private blockchain and do all their banking stuff on there.
So it wasn't going to be on Ethereum, but they were going to use Ethereum, the technology, the code base of Ethereum. And I think that's what triggered the run.
Okay,
right.
But my understanding from one of the Ethereum guys that I spoke with was that they had I think that they were the Ethereum Foundation was under a contract or something like that, an agreement with R3 Sev to do the development.
Sure.
So they were going to get that, and plus they. There was a point where they were getting desperate. They almost went under.
Yeah,
by
that
Vitalik
was
and his team.
late 2015.
Yeah,
right? That was late 2015, and this is going back now. Now we're talking like in late
a year ago,
more than a year ago, right?
Yeah,
towards the middle end of 2015, where they were about to spend, like, they raised $18 million, and they were so wasteful.
Yeah.
With their funds that they almost ran out. And it was, if you remember, that it had dropped to almost back to the ICO price. I didn't think it got down to 30 cents, but I think it got down to like 50 cents or something.
It got down pretty low.
It got down pretty low, where we thought that, hey, it's over, man, right?
Yeah.
And then what happened was Microsoft came out and announced that they would be sponsoring the DevCon, that they would be putting Ethereum on Azure.
Yeah.
And it was just about anything that got onto Microsoft Azure would run, right?
Yeah.
And that instantly put them back in business, right?
Yeah, and just so that the people that are listening don't know what DevCon is, it stands for Developers Conference. So they had, and this year they had their DevCon 2. So they've had their second Ethereum.
Right? Zero was the first one?
Yeah, Zero was the first one, and then so the third one is this year, and it was like in Shanghai.
Yeah.
And so they announced a lot of new applications that they were building on top of the Ethereum network.
Yeah, but it goes to show you that just the endorsement of somebody important like a Microsoft makes the difference, right?
Yeah.
And we don't you guys may or may not realize, but the Ethereum Foundation was holding a lot of ethers. It was a pre-mine.
Yeah.
And when the price went back to $1 on Microsoft's announcement, that basically saved their butts because they could continue development to fund the project.
So now they have enough money to where for sure they have enough to last for multiple years.
Right? So Ethereum the Ethereum Foundation, money is not an issue.
Yeah.
We especially after the R3 and after the price run that we've had, I'm sure they cashed out enough to sustain their operations for the next few years. So Ethereum and the Ethereum Foundation will be a going concern, at least for a few more years. But that was the first, that was our big win, right? That was our really...
so when we got into that, it went all the way up to...
$20, remember?
Yeah, it went up to $20, but as far as, let's just talk in percentage terms so people know, there was an opportunity for a 70x return. It went as far up as 70x or 7,000%, 7,000% profit. And there was a lot of people, you knew people who took profits at 1,000%, 2,000%,
2,
3,000,
3, 4, 5, all the way up. And we talk, the theme of our channel is life-changing finance, right?
Yeah.
That's life-changing finance.
Yeah, like whenever, you're not going to go to college and make 1,000% profit anywhere, or even 5,000, or much less 7,000% profit. Yeah. And if you think about it, if someone got into the ICO in the summer of 2014, that took about 18 months for you to get into it and invest into it, and it goes up to 7,000% profit. So
it was life-changing for my friends that I put into it, and I'm sure for you too.
It was life-changing for me. It was life-changing for everybody that got into it. But and then it split up. Ethereum split up because of the DAO. Let's talk about the DAO now.
Yeah. So the next major event. I don't remember the chronology. Like I said, we were just talking about. We're just talking off the top of our heads here. Of course, the big major event was the DAO, right?
Yeah, Ethereum was also the biggest success of the year.
Yeah.
But it was also the biggest failure of the year because of one of the applications that went on top of the Ethereum network.
So the DAO had so much promise to it. It was basically, I don't want to say the Ethereum Foundation endorsed it, but they didn't. But
indirectly they endorsed it.
Indirectly they did, because every one of the quote-unquote curators was a member. Everyone involved with the DAO was somehow connected back to the Ethereum Foundation.
Yeah.
Right? And so the credibility that, because Ethereum was such a huge success, and that these were all the same guys involved in the DAO, that this would also this would be a continuation of their success, right? And that's what it was supposed to be, right? That's what it was.
Yeah, and in case someone is new that's listening to this for the first time and they don't know what the DAO is, I'm just going to refresh them, let them know real quick. The DAO is supposed to be a decentralized venture capitalist fund where people would put in their Bitcoins and then their ethers, and then everybody would vote on whether or not there was going to be people that can submit proposals to get funded, and then people that contributed to the DAO fund can also vote to choose which project that the DAO should fund, and then whatever profits they make would be split among the people who put ethers up, into the DAO. But there was a recursive error somehow to where
it's a bug.
It's a bug in the code. They rushed the code out, to put on top of Ethereum to start the DAO funding, and they raised a bunch of money. And there were people that pointed out that there was a bug in the code, and Stefan Tool, who is one of the founders of the DAO Hub, who owns the
and the founder, one of the founders of Ethereum.
Yeah,
right? Or he was a COO of Ethereum. Not,
yeah,
I don't know if he was.
He's one of the original guys that started Ethereum, and then he went out and started Slockit, a company that makes smart locks, a decentralized smart lock system, and then they started the DAO to raise money, and just everything just went to shit.
Yeah,
and
it was a really,
the bug. The thing that people need to know is that the bug was brought up, and before the DAO got hacked, the bug was brought to everyone's attention, and the reason why we brought Stefan Tool was because he turned it down and said it was not a big deal.
Yeah, there was an exploit that they knew about, they flagged, but they didn't think it could be exploited in the way that it had been, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. We still don't know who did the exploit, what did.
Yeah, the hacker is now nicknamed the DAO attacker.
The DAO attacker, yes. But we could spend an hour talking about this, right? But that led to.
Let's talk about the lessons that we learned, because we actually discussed that in private. The lessons that we learned from our investment in the DAO.
Yeah.
And you said it was the things that we didn't know or the things that we knew.
Okay, so I don't believe we could have gotten away from it. I don't believe that the DAO there was just so much enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And that Ethereum made us so much money.
Yeah.
And these were the same guys that had succeeded for us.
So we were willing to take a risk in them.
And we were willing to take a risk
and take a big position with it.
And take a big position in them, because it was all the same guys. Like, why wouldn't you do that? If a guy has delivered for you
in the past,
why wouldn't you keep giving him money, right? Why wouldn't you, if he succeeded?
Agreed.
Why would you not give him something, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps we shouldn't have given them as much as we did.
Yeah.
I think. I don't think it would have been realistic for us to find the bug, because we're not looking at the code at that level.
Yeah.
But I think that
there was one thing the one biggest lesson that I learned about the DAO Hub investment that I want to share with everyone, so that in the future we know. After the DAO Hub came out, there was another DAO that came out just recently, just a few weeks ago, that I chose not to invest in.
Yeah.
Was it Wings?
Or? And I took a pass as well.
Okay.
Although one of my friends did invest a small amount.
Okay, so the reason why I passed up on any success of DAO type projects afterwards is because it's hard enough for one person, like like you and I, for the people on our team to even figure out what projects to invest in, what cryptos to invest in, and now we're gonna put all our money into a huge fund, right? And let's just say that the fund was secured. In the case of the DAO, the funds were not secured properly, so that's how it got hacked. But let's just assume that we put our money into a project and the funds were secured to where we can feel safe about it and not worry about it getting hacked, okay? I still would not do it again, simply because of this. I just don't like the idea of a large group of people making investment decisions when they're not educated on it. Like you and I are educated on it. We research it.
Yeah, but the DAO was much more than that. The DAO was supposed to be a corporation that would earn a profit.
Yeah.
That would then pay.
But the thing was
dividends to their shareholders. It wasn't just an investment fund. That's not what it was meant to be.
It wasn't, but that's what it it started out as, because they were trying to get proposals. People were submitting proposals to it to get it funded, and the people who put money into the DAO just wanted to sit back and reap the profits and not make any decision.
They wanted to. They gave it. I believe they gave it to the DAO for Slockit.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Slockit, even though because Slockit was trying, Stefan Tool was thinking beyond just Slockit, right?
Yeah.
They could have easily just made this only about Slockit, and I think that's probably what they should have done. I think they tried to do too much too soon, and it blew up, right?
Yeah.
I think it was overly ambitious, but I invested in the DAO because I believed in Slockit. I believed that the whole idea of the smart lock idea, and where there would be this autonomous corporation that you could pay the lock. Mm-hmm. Like you could put these locks on your shed and you could rent stuff out like your bike.
Yeah.
Right? That was something that I wanted the DAO to be. Right?
Yeah, because you and I are both big fans of Airbnb. We're big fans of Uber. We're big fans of ride
sharing
share
economy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of the pitch was from Slockit was that we could have a sharing economy and cutting out the middleman.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I invested. I invested more for that than the whole crowd-funded investment.
The first red flag I saw with the DAO was when they the Slockit team tried to get money for the proposals to fix the security bugs, and they were not getting that money.
Yeah.
So that right there was a huge red flag for me, because that made me realize that it's not that people did not trust Stefan Tool and the Slockit team at that time, it's that people were incapable of making a decision. And you and I both know that the key to making life-changing finances or life-changing profits in our lives is to be able to make quick decisions. Whenever we see a decision and we know that that's what we want and that's what needs to happen, it's all about who can make a quick decision to get in it, and then who can make a quick decision to get out of it when it's wrong.
Decisiveness is very important.
Yeah, that's one of the keys to creating life-changing finances, is to be extremely decisive.
And a big crowd is not decisive.
Yeah.
And like I said, you're right. I think it was, like I said, there were parts of the DAO I thought those parts would be good enough. I thought that just the part with the smart locks, if they do nothing else, and perhaps that's all they should have focused on, making a decentralized, a DAO that wasn't about investment, but purely about operating these smart locks in a decentralized way. Forget about all the voting and the whole proposals and the whole, just make those decentralized, just hook up these Slockits, these smart locks to the blockchain, let them be controlled by the blockchain, let the users, the owners of these locks charge, that I can just walk up to a shed or a bike and pay the lock and then go rent your bicycle. Right?
So what you're saying is that if they would have just raised that $18 million or whatever it was they raised, however much it was that they raised.
It's like 150 million.
Yeah, 150 million. I got mixed up with Ethereum. Let's say that if they raised that, and that the 150 million plus or whatever it was they raised, and just put it all into Slockit, that would have been a safer bet.
Yeah, Slockit, or
it would have been overfunded, but it would have been a safer bet.
Yeah, it would have been a safer bet, And talking about overfunded, I think we also learned we have to pay attention to valuation. I think we learned that lesson.
Okay, so that's a good segue into, because that was one of the biggest investment lessons we learned this year, is not to buy something that was overfunded.
Yes.
Right? So you want to talk about the 3 projects that were overfunded? The top 3 projects that you felt were overfunded?
Waves.
No, the first one was the DAO.
The DAO.
The DAO was the first one that was overfunded.
Massively overfunded, right?
And the second one was Waves.
Yeah, the second one, and the DAO was the biggest crowd sale ever. I think at one point it was up to 200 million worth of Ethers.
No, the second overfunded one was Lisk.
Lisk
because it came out before Waves.
Lisk wasn't that badly overfunded. I mean, it did open up at a 2 or 3x. I think when I mean overfunded, it means that the ICO participants lose money right out of the gate.
Okay. Because it was overvalued.
It was overvalued.
The project was overvalued.
The project was overvalued, and I think Waves and the DAO was really. I still like Waves. I think Sasha has been doing a lot of moves, but it hasn't paid off yet.
Yeah, but now I believe that it's actually one of the better projects, because now he has shown what he's doing with that money.
Yes.
He's got new offices. He's got hired coders.
Yes.
He's even put out a broadcast channel, like a media channel, just to update the entire cryptocurrency community.
Yeah.
He had that black chick that was the broadcaster, and now he's got some white girl on there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but it hasn't, if it came out at, say,
to me personally, I really don't care if he does any of that.
Sure.
Because to me, that's just a waste of money.
Yeah.
Because he's not, our channel is about creating, about making life-changing profits and life-changing money. in the cryptocurrency investing. That's not what his project is about. His project is about building a crowdfunding platform, a token platform. He needs to focus on that. Now, it's nice that he's creating all these videos and everything to update the community on what the Waves project is doing and what the cryptocurrency community is doing, but that's not what we gave him money for. We gave him money to focus on the Waves platform.
Yeah. And that's a danger of overfunded projects.
Yeah.
Right? They start spending money in ways that don't really add value.
Yeah.
And that just lowers our returns as investors.
And that's why we didn't get a big return out of the gate when the Waves tokens were made available for trading.
Sure.
And the other thing too that I realized, the more I research about the Waves platform, it's supposed to be a decentralized trading platform.
Yes.
So if that is true, and that's what Sasha's going to build, it's actually, because a lot of people are wondering why it's not listed on Poloniex and it's not listed on the major exchanges, right?
And a gateway too. It's a trading and a
fiat gateway.
Fiat gateways is what he said.
So that you can buy cryptocurrencies with your US dollar, your pound, your euro, your yen. You don't have to go through a place like Coinbase or places like that to buy cryptocurrencies anymore with your fiat dollars. Okay. Now, here's the thing that I've realized, man. At first, I thought it was because they did not have the full node software out yet, so that's why it's not listed on the exchange. But then I found out that they do have the full node.
Came out recently.
That came out, and it's still not listed on the exchange. And the more I research into it, I realized that it's actually a conflict of interest for any exchange to list the Waves tokens.
But Bittrex is listing them.
Yeah, Bittrex is listing it only because it's one of the smaller, it's not an A-tier exchange like Poloniex or Bitstamp or Bitfinex or Coinbase.
Yeah, or even Kraken, right?
Yeah, not even like Kraken or even a BTCE,
Yeah.
I put like, BTCE and Kraken like at a B tier.
Sure.
Simply, and by saying a B tier or A tier or C tier, guys, what we're saying is that it doesn't have enough volume.
Yeah.
But Bittrex is not known to have high trading volume. So because of that, they had to list it. They wanted to list Waves just so they can get some business. But I think that the bigger exchanges like Poloniex, the A-tier exchanges, I don't think they're listing it simply because it creates a conflict of interest, because the Waves platform is designed for people to trade without having to go through a middleman. Because every time you and I trade on Poloniex or Coinbase or Bitfinex or something like that, we still got to go through the middleman.
And we do that because the liquidity is there.
Yeah, we're forced to do it because the liquidity, that's the only place that we can find liquidity. So if the Waves platform is decentralized and nobody owns it and it has enough liquidity, I guarantee you everybody's going to jump on the platform immediately once it's available.
So that was kind of a letdown from an investor. Now, granted, Sasha is making progress, and therefore we continue to hold our positions. But
I think long term it's actually going to be a good deal because he's actually working on it.
But I think the lesson for us is when we see a project we like, but it comes out at too high a valuation, we really should pass on it. And then we can just, if we still like it, we can still buy it in the aftermarket.
So let's talk about the projects that we did pass up on purpose because we saw that they were overvalued during the ICO. For me personally, Economy was one of them.
Okay, I got into Economy.
Yeah, you got into Economy, but I refused to get into it. One was because I felt that it was overvalued, and the second thing was I don't like the idea that some of the verbiage that they use about guaranteeing profits and stuff like that, I don't agree with, because in America the laws are that if anything that has to do with finances, if you guarantee someone profits, that's illegal, and they are a non-American, they're a European company that is starting the Economy platform, and to me, I just don't like that.
This is one where we made different decisions. And I decided to get into it. Like I said, I did not put a big bet on it. But actually, one of my friends did most of the research and pitched me on it, and I saw that they were going to build, because my view on it is that there's still going to be a very small percentage of people that will be able to invest in crypto. Most people cannot do what we do.
Yeah, most people cannot directly invest into cryptocurrencies like you and I do, where we actually go out there
and manage our funds.
And and buy the coins directly from the software projects. You know,
Economy was trying to become where a one-stop shop, right? Where you can kind of be not only a one-stop shop where you can buy a token that represents like an ETF or some that you can just buy one token, an economy token. But also,
and that's like buying one share of the Spiders ETF, which represents 500 of the most owned stocks in America.
Yeah, so I can see that there's a big market for that. Right?
Yeah, I see a big market for that too. I just didn't like the way that things were set up.
Sure.
Like in their white paper, it was not really a white paper. They were talking about the indexes and it was just very, very, I wouldn't say, one was that it was not clear, and the other thing was that there was a lot of things that they were saying in there that, in my opinion, does not comply with U.S. law.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Right? Okay. So, I want everyone to know that even though Leon and I believe in freedom and that people should have the freedom to do what they want, we still do believe in complying with the laws of the land. Like whatever country or whatever city or state or government that you live in, you still need to conform with those laws, right? If you don't like the laws of that country, then our suggestion is move to a different country or move to a different city or different state, but don't break the laws in that city or
that
state or in the jurisdiction that you're living in. So we live in America. We like living in America, and they got some laws that we like, and they have some laws that we dislike. But the fact is, we cannot sit here and determine which laws we like to follow and which ones we don't.
Sure.
So if we don't know it, it's one thing. But if we know that these are financial laws that cannot be violated in the U.S., then we are going to comply with those laws in the U.S.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure. So,
and if it's a gray area, we don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
It needs to be black or white to us, right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's that I think is a good thing going back to
So we were talking about the ICOs or the cryptos that we passed up, right? Because of it being overvalued. I felt that economy was one of those that was overvalued.
I don't think what you just said was a valuation problem. It was just you didn't believe in the way it was set up and the way it was. Valuation. I don't think it came in at an extremely high. I think it was about 7 million or 6 million.
Yeah, they raised.
That's not a.
But based on what we learned after Waves and Lisk, I just didn't want to take the
see, Lisk came in at a 7 million, and that still opened up at a 3x. I think now, as of this recording, it's dropped back down to its ICO price, but
it's below the ICO price now.
Yeah, but that's because
Bitcoin ran up to almost $1,000.
Yeah, and also they had some issues. Lisk had some issues, and so Lisk wasn't overvalued because we could have taken a 2x or 3x profit.
Yeah.
But Waves definitely was. I don't think there was really a time that you could actually, and the difference is Waves came out, I think, at close to a $20 million valuation. Yeah, so it was over 3x what Lisk.
Yeah, the thing that Waves, Sasha and the Waves team got lucky on was that they raised a bunch of money. They were the second biggest fundraising in 2016 or ever in crypto.
Yeah, after the DAO, right?
Yeah, after the DAO, they were the second biggest fundraiser.
Yeah.
They raised the most money in the crypto community. Yeah. And what happened was the thing that's interesting is that as soon as the fundraising was done, it was only worth about $16 million, but because the price of Bitcoin shot up, it actually became $20-something million.
Yeah, and that's too much money. Yeah. Even Sasha told us in our interview that they have more money than they could possibly do with it, for everything that they needed.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a red flag because that means we're probably paying too much.
Yeah.
At least in the short term.
Yeah.
And you had an opportunity, even if you liked it, to get in lower. So the game of investing is kind of like the price is right. The idea is like, what price do you pay that to price in the risk that you're taking to make sure that you earn a profit, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to pay too much, and that's going to be, I think, a theme for us in 2017. I'm going to be constantly coming back to this about what the valuation is.
Yeah, in order to create a life-changing profits, we need to focus on things that create like a 5x, 10x, 20x,
Yeah.
30x. We can't just settle for like a 10%
Exactly.
profit or a 50% profit, and
Yeah.
really not even a 100% profit.
Yeah, even that's not life-changing profits.
That's not like
Yeah.
it is for some people, right? But at this stage in our development,
No, yeah, 2x is not life-changing. You know, a 2x is a paycheck.
Yeah.
Right? A 2x is if a double is like, okay, you got paid for a month or two or
Yeah.
3, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you get 10x, 20x, 30x, 40x, that's life-changing, right?
Now, what are the projects did we pass up that was overvalued?
I can't think of it. I mean, those stood out in my mind.
There was a few other projects such as
Augur wasn't the ICO, but Augur was overvalued when it released, when it came.
Yeah, and I didn't buy into Augur because it was way overvalued.
Way overvalued. So
Zcash was definitely
way
overvalued. That will win the award for being the most overvalued cryptocurrency.
Yeah, there was no question
ever
that
in
you
history.
should not. I don't know who was paying those prices.
Yeah.
But there was no reason to.
Yeah.
I don't like. It came out at like to $3,000 or something like that, and I was like, "There's what are these people? I mean, who's doing that, right? I mean, who would be paying? I mean, you have to. Where do they leave their brain at home? I don't know who's
yeah. But
right?
that definitely wins the gold medal for being the most overvalued. And it's still overvalued. It's still overvalued.
Still overvalued. It really is.
And even at I think it's
$50 right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing should not be more than $1 or something.
Yeah, I Yeah,
because the thing is, they need to prove that they can do something before. It doesn't matter, what anybody says.
They just don't have the adoption yet. But okay, so the reason the market's giving up this valuation is look at the roster on the team. It reads like the biggest bunch of nerds that I see in the whole crypto.
Yeah, they have some big names on the.
People with a lot of credentials are on the team.
Yeah,
and that's why I think it's getting that valuation. Now, I agree with you that it doesn't deserve that, even with all those people, even with all the credentials. Just because you're smart.
I mean, just because somebody has credentials, guys, that doesn't mean jack shit. Because if you look at the CoinDesk's list of the top most influential people in 2016 in the cryptocurrency community, you don't have us in there, right? And we have demonstrated multiple times that we can, the fact that if you and I say something, we can move the price of that cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
they're talking about these knuckleheads on the most influential people on the CoinDesk list, and 90% of them, I don't even know who the hell they are.
Sure.
And whatever they say about that cryptocurrency ain't gonna move shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The market's not going to go out there and buy it just because.
We've and that's something we have to discuss a little further going into this, because we don't want to be seen as market manipulators. Or
exactly. We'll talk about that in a separate video.
We'll talk about that in a separate video. There have been cases where we felt that we had to start being careful about what we say, and you can see towards the end of this year, I started trying to not say things I might have said earlier.
Yeah, and that's if you guys are wondering why we haven't been broadcasting as much, because we saw how what we said had influenced the price of several cryptocurrencies, and we do not want to be responsible for artificially inflating